I'm Gavin. Work harder and I'll spend even more on the homeless.
California has spent $450 million to get rid of homelessness, and we still got homelessness. Welcome aboard. There's a guy I listen to, Liberal Hivemind. He's fantastic. If you haven't listened to Liberal Hivemind, you're really missing out. So, Jeremy, you don't know Liberal Hivemind. I'm going to play you a clip from his show.
Yeah, make sure and put a little link in our description then.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Liberal Hivemind is fantastic, but he has 1.72 million subscribers.
Damn.
So
that's got to be like what?
Our
like $100 $100 a month?
No. He makes millions.
Wow.
Hundreds of thousands.
Wow.
But if our 62 subscribers would go over to Liberal Hivemind, he'd have 1,720,062 subscribers. He wouldn't even notice it.
You know what, though? But it might be just enough to kick him to 1.73 million.
It might. Anyways, here we go. This is straight off of Liberal Hivemind. This had me floored.
We've got this absolute Giga Chad who shows up at the LA City Council.
Wait a minute. What's a Giga Chad?
What is a Giga Chad? All right, let me help you out, because right before we did this, I did pull up what a Chad is.
I think a Chad is like that little hanging thing on a voting tab, because the only other Chad I've ever known in my entire life was a druggie that worked for me.
Well, back in 2000, what a hanging Chad was, because of the election of Bush v. Gore, the word Chad really became a big thing.
And not to go too far down that rabbit hole, because I know we just get completely sidetracked all the time, but how could you say that a machine, because you put it in a little thing and you pushed a hole through it, and if the Chad tore, it was a hanging Chad, but it didn't fall off. How could you say that didn't mean that they didn't want to vote for that person? All the rest of the stupid little things were intact.
We are rehashing 25-year-old news stories.
Okay, back onto the Chad thing. But that has frustrated me, and now I have a platform to say it.
Now, okay, so he's waited a long time for that. All right, so a Chad is used to describe a man who is popular, conventionally attractive, and successful with romantic partners.
Oh, it's me.
Absolutely.
Well, why didn't they call it a Jeremy? I guess it doesn't flow off the tongue as easy as
Chad and Biff used to be slang names for people who were complete a-holes. Douches. Absolutely.
Yeah, Biff was the jock douche, and Chad was the sweater with the sleeves rolled around their neck, and they drove the Beamer to high school.
And it's like, hey, Chad, hey, Biff. And they were all rich and all jerks.
That's true. That is absolutely
But now apparently being a Chad is good. So talk about reversing it. And in meme culture, here we go. Let's go on down. Meme culture, the Giga Chad is a meme representing an exaggerated peak masculinity ideal male figure. Once again, Jeremy.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I'll give you that, Jeremy. All right, so here we go. This guy is an absolute Giga Chad in front of the LA City Council. So here we go.
And he raises a pretty interesting point about California's homelessness initiatives.
Now, when we look at the spending that we're actually doing, it's mostly inside safe spending, right? And so far, we have spent $450 million to permanently house 1,144 people.
Hold on. I got to get that.
You're doing the math? I've already done it.
I am. You have.
I've already done it.
Don't rain on my parade.
Okay.
1,444 people?
It's 450 million divided by 1,144, I believe it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, 1,144. It will come out to about $393,000 plus per person.
Yeah. That's a lot per year, or is that over the course of so many years?
That's over the course of so many years.
Are we talking? Because does this tie into? And I get his name wrong all the time. I want to say it's Dr. Drew, but I don't think that's right. He was the doctor that was on the Love Doctor thing in LA, and he was a radio DJ.
Yeah, I think that was Dr. Drew.
Dr.
Yeah.
Drew. He's a real doctor. It's actually really impressive. I mean, he's not some personality doctor. And he was their medical advisor for like 20 years. This was not just some token thing. He literally did that for like 20 years and advised LA Council on matters of health and related public health and things like that, and mental and all this stuff.
Yeah, they didn't listen to him.
They had some huge study back right around COVID, right around just before or just after COVID. I just remember it being near COVID. It might have been like 2018, might have been 2022. I don't know. But I think it was 18. I think it was just before COVID hit. And it came back, huge document. I remember him talking about it. And it was like 1,000 pages. I mean, this was massive. And it was all science. And it came back to 85% of the homeless problem was substance abuse. End of story. If you could fix the substance abuse problem for 85% of our homeless, you would almost have no homeless. The amount of people that just needed a house because they were down on their luck, they were this, that, it was literally less than 15%. And he brought this up. He said that he was the only one in the public meeting that had admitted that they'd read the whole thing. He had highlighted spots. He had dog-eared pages. He had everything he needed to prove this point, that it's a substance abuse problem, that we have an epidemic on our hands, especially in LA. And they fired him for it.
Here's the problem. We have had a singular person, one guy in particular. He's not the only person, so don't get me wrong. But we've had this one guy who's made homelessness his total, shtick, his total issue. There we go. I couldn't think of the word. His one issue has been homelessness the entire time he's been in.
Sorry. I have to stop for this. I was literally picking a cat hair off the keyboard, and he freaked out, thought I was going to hit the pause button. Sorry, go ahead.
We've had this one politician whose issue for decades has been homelessness. And he's always saying we need to spend more money on homelessness. And his solution is just throw money at it. Do you know who that politician is?
Does it start with a G?
Yeah, it starts with a Gavin.
And it ends with a sum?
Yeah, Gavin
sum
Newsom.
total of failures?
Absolutely. Gavin Newsom, sum total of failures. He is some failure, I'm telling you. He keeps throwing money at it. And I'm sorry, when you spend $393,000 plus per person, I mean, my house, I have a house. It's not even worth that. You could have given 1,144 people a home.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, the money didn't get spent on the homeless. We do know that it was embezzled. They gave it to this guy who showed fake paperwork about his bank account. But I'm sorry, this is the problem with California. It's scandal after boondoggle, after black hole of money left and right. I mean, can you think of any other black hole of money boondoggle in California going on?
Honestly, it always revolves around construction, because nobody understands construction. Nobody understands what it really takes. It's that black hole as far as money goes.
Name a
And
project.
So, we can talk about the train to nowhere.
No. It goes
we
from
could skip
Modesto
that.
to nowhere.
Well, we could talk about the train to nowhere. We could talk about the fact that they are spending, I think it's $1 billion with a B, on remodeling the Capitol building, and it's been like 6 years in the making. And I go up to Sacramento once a year, and I walk by the Capitol building almost every time, and it never seems to be done. And it's insane. And the last I heard, and I didn't fully read the article, I read the highlights, but it was they were shipping the stone, and they just use the word stone. I think it's granite, because that's what California is known for, is the granite, not limestone or anything like that. But they're shipping the stone to Italy to be worked, and it's hundreds of millions of dollars to mess with the stone. And it's like, I get it, put stone on the building, I understand, fine, but we couldn't do the work here in America. We couldn't do that. I mean, at some point, it'd probably be cheaper to fly the guys out here. I'm sure we have the equipment.
This is a payoff somewhere.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's the masks again.
Yet Newsom, who wants to now be president,
I don't really know a whole lot of liberals, Democrats, however you want to classify them this week. I don't know a whole lot of them that are even like, yeah, he's doing a good job.
oh, he's doing a lousy job.
Yeah, I don't even know a whole lot of them that are happy with him. I mean, you know, it was a dream chip, Brown. I mean, he was a better guy. I mean, no, if you put both of them up as my only choice, I'm still voting for Brown.
Oh, I would take Jerry Brown over Gavin Newsom any day of the week. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. As bad as he was. You know, and I mean, we haven't had a good governor.
At very least, Brown balanced the budget. He was kind of a jerk, and he was kind of an idiot. But he at
balanced
least
the budget.
understood that you can't spend more money than you have.
And the problem with California is we are a one-party system.
Yes.
And if the one-party system, I know other states have a one-party system, basically. But if the one-party system is on the conservative side, at least it's like, let's spend less money. Let's make it a little smaller, even if we do have wasted money. Where in, let's say, California, you have the liberal side going, we need to spend more and more and more, and that'll fix the problem. And the problem with the problem is it never fixes the problem.
I only have 2 political posters in my classroom. I try and veer from politics as much as I possibly can. I always tell the students when we do talk about politics, it's only ever in either construction-related stuff or it's in my advisory. And like, hey, it's just me at the grocery store. This isn't me as the teacher right now. This is just me and you talking. And I always tell them, this is my opinion. This is not the school's opinion. This is not the teacher in me's opinion even. And we talk about it, but the poster I have, one of the 2 posters I have is from Margaret Thatcher, and it says, you know, the problem with socialism is you eventually run out of other people's money. And I always point out to the students, it doesn't have to be socialism, people. It can be any form of government. Eventually, you run out of other people's money.
People are leaving this state to go to any other state that might be slightly red. I mean, they're going to Arizona. They're going to Texas. They're going to Nevada, which is definitely moving red. It's moving red. Nevada is moving to the right.
No, I don't think so.
It's not a purple state yet. It's still slightly blue.
It used to be red. I think it's solidly blue, and I don't think it's going to change anytime soon. And the reason I think that is you look at the populous areas. I mean, 3 of the most populous cities in Nevada are down there in the Vegas area. And let's face it, they are very blue there. So by square footage, sure, maybe it's going to turn kind of purplish. But by population, I don't see how. I think it's going to be staying nice and blue.
All right, what we have here, Jeremy, is the 2024 election. Right here is, what state is that? Is that Nevada? Yeah, you're right. That is Nevada.
Hey.
And, I just moved it.
Let's go talk to somebody that's in Vegas and ask him how conservative it is right now there.
So going back to the issue at hand, you're a construction guy. Mm-hmm. How do we stop this money abuse? I mean, we mentioned the high-speed rail. You mentioned construction on the governor's mansion, I think it was.
No, it's the Capitol building.
Capitol building in California. Mm-hmm. I mentioned this homeless debacle where they spent almost $400,000 per person over X amount of years. Don't know. How do we solve this? Because you're the construction guy.
Hold on. While I ramble for a second about this, do me a favor. Look up the town next to us has its own little homeless village. How much did those suckers cost? And I'll ramble a little bit about the town I live in, where they took over a hotel and they took each 2 rooms, or maybe it was each room, and they turned it into like a living space for a homeless person. They turned in this complex kind of thing at this hotel, and it was a motel. And I think it ended up being like $70-some thousand for each one of these rooms to be retrofitted. It might have even as much as like $200,000. It was insane, and I just couldn't believe it happened. And it was right during kind of COVID, and so it was kind of like I had bigger fish to fry, and I didn't pay attention. But I know right off the freeway here, the next town over from where we're at right now, they have these little weird kind of trailer pod looking things, and they're homeless. And they don't have plumbing in them at all or anything. They're just like a dorm room. And then there's like a bathroom trailer and a washer and dryer trailer. And then there's some sort of community room, which is kind of weird, that just moved in. I noticed, since I drive by it every now and then, I've been paying attention. And they all moved in there, and it's like right off the freeway. I felt like it was kind of rude. It was kind of like, this is where they were going to put their tents, so we just stuck the trailers there, kind of thing. But anyway, so did you find a value on those?
Yeah. Okay. So this is complicated.
Yeah.
There's a $400,000 agreement with Caltrans to clean up an 18.4 mile stretch of freeway.
Okay, that's
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's
All right. You're cleaning up. You have a public safety engagement team, which can bill up to $50,000 per quarter, so that's $200,000 a year. There's an opportunity village shelter project. It's 1.2.
That's it.
1.27 million.
1.2 million, and there's only like 8 of those.
1.27 million. As of the latest financial update, 1.1 million has been spent. So,
Okay, so they spent $1 million, and there's like 8 of these things.
There's more than 8, I think.
No,
there are only 8.
No, there's only like, there's some community buildings, but there's only like 8, maybe. Okay, let's make the math easy. 10. Each one of those suckers is $100,000, and there's not even plumbing in them.
Now it gets even better. In a grant proposal, it cites a HUD-based estimate. It costs about $40,000 a year for services per unsheltered person. By comparison, there's this new plan to spend $6,536 per person a year for this program they're doing. So
what we're saying is there's at least 150 grand per unit right there. In a tiny little town that is known for its welfare.
Now, let me tell you this. Those buildings, I've never been up to them up close, but I've driven by. They look like they're maybe, and correct me if I'm wrong, about 6 feet wide, maybe 6 to 8 feet deep.
They look, well, I mean, let's just assume they're maxing out, because they're mobile. So let's assume they're maxing out the width, which would be 8 feet without a special permit to move.
Okay.
I don't think they tow. I think they actually stack on something. Still, it could be 8 feet.
They seem to be permanently put there.
They're probably 8 foot by 10 foot.
Call it 8 by 10. Okay.
Which is 80 square feet, which is smaller than most track house bedrooms. Most, like, you're going to stick your kid in.
It's a storage unit.
Basically, yeah.
It's the size of a storage unit. A nice size storage unit.
Yeah, it's not even big enough to park a car in.
Now, I could go rent a storage unit for a couple $100. Mm-hmm. So let's say you're building one of those buildings. It should not, okay, granted you need to insulate it and things like that, but that's a one-time cost. It really should not be costing you more than, say, if you're renting it out, more than $400 a month per thing.
Well, just to give you an idea, you could go to Tough Shed, and you can get a fully insulated, air-conditioned Tough Shed that's that size. And it would probably cost you
$600 to $800.
No. It would probably cost
15?
you.
You're the construction guy.
I was going to say, with the insulation, with all the upgrades, Tough Shed charging you this, which is one of the most expensive companies out there per square foot when it comes to those kind of buildings.
Okay.
Probably $5,000 tops.
Okay, let's say it's $5,000, but that's a one-time fee.
Yes, absolutely.
Now you do need to bring water up. It looks like they have porta potties in there. Each unit does not have its
there
own
is
toilet.
no plumbing in each one of those units. I'm not even, because there's solar on the building. I don't even think there's 110 power. Actually, I know there's not 110 power in those things, because they have like a power pole charging center for like their phones and stuff. I saw this lockbox thing when there's a road that I can take, and you can look straight down and you can actually like see it instead of just by the freeway. And yeah, they actually just have solar inside those things. So they're not even wired for 110 power. They are literally just a box that somebody set down, threw some IKEA furniture in there, and put up a couple solar lights.
I do know they have porta potties out there.
Well, no, they have a separate trailer for that.
I don't know what it costs to put a porta potty out there. I can't imagine it's more than a couple of grand a month.
Where I go mountain biking has one of those trailers, and it's got like 4 or 5 bathrooms in it, and it's treated like one big kind of porta potty. But no, that thing.
And they do
20 grand.
They have to have showers up there.
It looked like it was all in that area. So
Yeah,
I mean,
there has to. Yeah, it looks like there's some showers up there, but really, I would say the whole thing shouldn't cost more than
$200,000 tops, one-time cost.
But that's a one-time cost. The only ongoing cost should be running water, changing out the porta potties, and that that's like $10,000 a year, maybe.
They do seem to have kind of like an RA, if we're going to treat it kind of like a dorm environment.
What is an RA?
Room assistant, is that right? I didn't go to college like that. I went to workers college where I did it at night. So I think it's an RA, room assistant, residence assistant.
Okay.
It's the guy who's like in charge of the floor at the dorm. He's in charge of managing all them. You know, kind of like a property. In a rental apartment.
That's probably your biggest cost.
Yeah, and I'm sure they probably got that guy working there, and that guy's probably. They may even have two of them.
And
so maybe let's just call it even. Maybe they got 250. I would say maybe 250 a year.
Let me say this. The guy that's the one resident assistant guy.
Yeah.
Here's my guess. That guy is related to the mayor somehow, and he's earning $350,000 to go check things out twice a month. That's my guess.
No. I go even better than that. This is some guy who's just barely off the streets. He gets to live there. He gets to take care of everything. He's in charge of everybody. Maybe his place is like the camp host. He actually does have plumbing in his little place. He gets to live there. He gets to deal with all this crap. And he probably gets a measly 15, 20 grand a year out of it. And, the company that hired him gets to take the $300,000 a year.
Well, let me ask you this, because you're a construction guy. How do you solve the homeless problem in California? Because I have two ideas.
Honestly, I am a firm believer in the major way you solve the homeless problem is you provide substance abuse help, end of story, and you only give and only help through honest programs who are using as much money as possible that they get towards the building, towards the housing, towards that. They're not scraping money off the top any more than they absolutely have to for administrative fees. That's the only way you're going to fix that. And that comes from me working as a deacon in my church for a time, who I was helping and working with homeless people. That comes from me watching and just kind of like people watching through the world. Back when I was working industry, we had a guy who was coming into the bank. I'd see him every now and then, just a homeless guy, but he would go to the business line. And I don't care, whatever. But I asked the teller, I'm like, so what's the deal with Bob, kind of thing. And he's like, and Bob would come in with a stack of bills, and they'd run it through their little counting machine. And, you see the number and it'd come up with like $700, $800. And I'd be like, so is that like Bob's take for the week, for the month, for the year? What is that? How often does he come in? 2 to 3 times a week. And I said, is that a big number? And they're like, it's like, did he have a good week? You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, no, that's pretty small for what he comes in. So Bob is taking in, let's just say it's $700. Let's say he just comes in twice a week, $1,400 a week, tax-free, in donations from people on the side of the freeway. Why the heck would you change? What's the incentive to go now work at a 9 to 5? Hell, you're not going to get a 9 to 5 job. What's this incentive to go to work at a place that's going to make you work weekends and evenings and all these other times that you don't really want to work for less pay, and you got to pay the man? Mm-hmm.
One of the things I want to say, if you like what we're doing and you really appreciate it, Jeremy's now going to beg. Beg, Jeremy. Beg.
Please, would you please subscribe and like and hit the notification bell? And if enough of you people do this, I don't have to ask anyone.
Hey, if you like what we're doing, please hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it.
And with that, we'll see you at the next stop.